facilities department tools, and by that I mean the myriad tools that they have at their disposal, from basic things such as hammers to more complicated things such as I don't know, pipe benders or welding tools, etc. The description reads, tools operated by the facilities department will be used in a support capacity for the emergency operation and to the extent possible will be assigned to and used at an emergency operations center. By to the extent possible, I mean if it's possible to move them to that area. A lot of tools like um, a sheet metal shearing tool is not going to be picked up and moved to the emergency operations center. Even though it might come in very handy, the resources are not in place to transport it to that location. Um, Next resource I have here is something I wanted to add. I used to work out a lot at the weight room over at EDCC because it came in handy as I attended classes there. And around that area, I would always see the tractor that the school has rolling around. I wanted to put that on the resources list here. The tractor used for campus premises upkeep will transition to a support role within the emergency response operation, and that one's pretty self-explanatory. They'll use the tractor for working on stuff. Next up, we have electronic equipment. Um, Says here, electronic equipment will be transported to and used at the Emergency Operations Center to the extent possible. Again, referring to just the practicality of moving electronic equipment. If it's impossible, then forget about it. It just can't happen. The next sentence in the explanation here. This included computer equipment, communications equipment, and support electronics. I can very well imagine that Skype would come in handy at an emergency operations center, and many laptops are Skype capable. I know mine is. And so computer equipment would include maybe the laptop that a thoughtful professor remembered to grab on his or her way out. Communications equipment would include the transfer or relay center that a school has, if it's possible to move it, for telephone communications, as well as, I don't know, satellite link up capabilities or anything like that. Moving on, the support electronics would include really basic stuff like power bars, and not the ones you eat, the ones you plug stuff into, surge protectors, I guess they call them. Things like all the little internet capable wiring that is necessary for hooking up a computer system, the power cables that go into a computer, etc., etc. The last resource I have listed here is event equipment. This being any sort of, generally events are large scale, so there's some capability of receiving a large amount of people. Say at graduation, there's going to be many serving containers. I know that at Shoreline, serving containers are owned and operated by the vendors who run the dining facilities, but in the event of an emergency, everything that could be considered a resource is going to be used, and hopefully there are mutual aid agreements in place prior to that emergency which recognize the need for those types of things. Also, there will be serving tables around and things. dare to dream, there might even be things like um, outdoor tents that can be erected and people can be kept in there, or um, the emergency operations sort of offices can be kept in there. Um, Thanks very much for viewing this presentation. I look forward to seeing all of you again on the internet.